Welcome to My Breastie Says, two friends exploring life during and after breast cancer from two totally different perspectives. I'm Chris, a breast cancer survivor and a mother of two.
I'm Jenny, a physical therapist and medical professional who specializes in breast cancer care. Together, we created this podcast to bring both sides of the story, the medical insight and the lived experience. Chris, we got this great listener question. Let's take a listen.
Yeah.
Hey ladies, I love the podcast. I have a question for you. Since my body's been through a lot lately and I haven't been exercising, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed about how I can even get started. Can you give me some advice?
So I love this question that Dawn brought up because I think it is really common to struggle in how to return to exercise after you've taken a break because of surgery, chemo, just the craziness of diagnosis in general. So we're going to talk a lot. I have lots of thoughts on that as a physical therapist. However, I am curious, what's your relationship with exercise?
Well, I just, starting up in
Mhm.
general, restarting an exercise program is hard enough. And then you add treatment, diagnosis, all the
Yeah.
things to that. And it's a tough one. I am a worker outer, but
You've always been, right?
what?
Have you always been?
I've always, yeah, I always was. And, when I was diagnosed though, I stopped,
Mhm.
you're so busy, and the welcome back, or the re-entry, I should say, is so tough for me now. Being years out of cancer, it's still tough, but going through cancer and all, chemo, radiation, surgeries, getting back into exercise after all that is just, it's tough.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I can relate. I have never had a love of exercise, which don't tell the other physical therapists,
Ugh,
is that's kind of unusual.
that's
Um,
so weird that you're a physical therapist and you
no,
don't love
I don't.
exercising.
I don't. And truth be told, I've never been diagnosed with breast cancer, but I do have chronic migraines, and mine will flare up with exercise. So I'm always in this funny place of stopping, starting, like trying to re-enter the exercise life. And I keep at it, and I've learned a lot, both professionally and from going through this, that we're going to share today. But the reason I keep at it is exercise is so important. It kind of seems like for everything, like if you ever do a deep dive in like what helps depression or what helps arthritis or what helps digestion, it's the answer is always exercise.
Always.
And to
Movement.
add to that, it also helps with reducing the overall inflammation that's in our body. And we know that inflammation can help, isn't great for cancer. Gives us pain. It also will help promote lymphatic flow. So moving your body will
Absolutely.
help with the lymphatic system, help us detox. It can also increase bone density. It can
Mhm.
make us sleep better. And if we're sleeping better, then our energy will be better. That can also help with chemo brain, if you're really not rested, or menopause brain, depending which camp you're in. But a better night's sleep can help you think more clearly.
Helps
Um,
with stress.
can definitely help manage stress. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that is a really big one.
I feel that the mental health aspect was so big for me when going through it. Um, and there's so many stats out there about it minimizing reoccurrence too, weight bearing activity. But
Yeah.
I went through something when I was going through chemo where my oncologist told me these stats, right? So they give you this information that you're so knowledgeable about, and about the reoccurrence and it reducing. And then trying to re-enter that space
Hmm.
and not doing it made me stressed out.
Hmm.
Like I
Right.
was guilting myself because I was like, "Oh my God." So, there's a whole thing of
A
acceptance and
1000%. And you bring up two good points. One, that there is a lot of great evidence about, medical research,
yeah,
that exercise can help reduce the risk of a recurrence. But if you're not feeling in an exercisey place, it's really easy to beat yourself up about that. So the first
100%.
thing I actually wanted to mention, and I have to do this, is we need to check our exercise ego when we're returning to, especially
Mhm.
when we're returning to exercise. What I mean by that is a couple things. One is if you are someone like Chris who enjoys exercise and maybe would go like balls to the walls to get rid of stress, you
That's
would
a
really
stretch,
sweat it out.
but yes. I enjoy it after I've come over that hump
Mhm.
of the habit, which normally takes about 2 weeks for
Okay.
me. Mhm.
So if you are, that's what you like to do or where you're used to being, but now you're like, whoa, just getting out of bed in the morning sometimes feels hard. I feel winded up a flight of stairs. Any of those impediments in your way, it can be really hard to accept that actually going up the stairs is now exercise, where before it was like a 45-minute spin class, right? So it can be
Mhm.
really easy to one, discount little things as exercise and kind of
Yes.
thinking like, well, why bother? Why am I going to take a walk with my dog? That's not exercise because before exercise was like a hit class or whatever. And then the other thing too is if you try to go back to that prior version of yourself, you're really setting yourself up for not only failure, which just feels bad, but the other thing that feels bad is an injury. So if you are pushing too fast, too hard, it's you're probably not going to get very far.
I had some menopausal stuff and a lot of doctor's things, and as you know, I migraines I was dealing with, so it was really hard for me to exercise. And I am in the spot. I stopped for about a month, and the reentry was so hard that I am exactly what you're saying, Jenny, taking those small steps. For me, yoga feels
Mhm.
great, so I'm doing that a few times a week, or hiking. So I think
And the
everything counts.
Everything does count. And I like what you just said about how you're starting with yoga because that feels good for you. And so
Mm.
when we think about where do I start, we actually don't have to overthink this one. And simply finding something that you enjoy and you'll actually do, that is automatically the best exercise, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
um, we talk a lot about resistance training, like that's in the press a lot, and there are a lot of good studies about how that it's important to lift weight, how it's good for many aspects of our health.
Reoccurrence, they say it lowers it. I think that I I I read a stat that it's 16 to 24 reduction in breast cancer reoccurrence with
Wow,
regular exercise post diagnosis.
right, that's huge.
Yeah, that's huge. But exercise, like you're saying, is very broad term.
And if you can't go from day zero and then day one at the gym with the heavy weights, that's okay. You will
Yeah.
get there, and you have to keep reminding yourself, like, yes, this walk I'm taking with my dog, I didn't do that yesterday. So that yesterday.
Yestersize. I like that. We should coin that term. Yestersize, not today
Yeah,
your size, yestersize.
the exercise you didn't do yesterday. Um, so instead, now you're walking your dog. That's better than what you had not been doing. So I
What
have
what
to give
yeah,
myself that talk a lot because when I get exercise and once I'm in the flow, kind of your point, Chris, like once you get over that hump, it feels good.
it's the
I
hump.
want to
Mhm.
keep going and I know I'll pay for it the next day. I won't feel well. So just remembering, like, okay, this is good and we can stop here.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people oh, there you are.
Yeah,
A
sorry.
a lot of people, you and I included, have definitely said that we're all or nothing type of people,
Yes.
and we go hard or we're like, "Ah, fuck it," type of
Right.
thing.
And
And
all
I
nothing can serve us in some ways, but not
but
all.
that also sets you up for a lot of disappointment, and that's what you're saying, and that I was talking to a friend today, and she was talking about, like, just being and being okay with that, and listening to the podcast about just being in the moment and
Mhm.
whatever that is. And then my response was something to the fact of what we're talking about, but sometimes you're not gonna be okay with that, just
Mm,
being in that space, and you just have to accept it. Like, I might feel guilty that I didn't work out. Yeah, I'm gonna go the ups and downs. Life is
that is really interesting. And I was thinking about what you were saying. Sometimes I have a stationary bike here, so I'll get on the bike and do spinning. And sometimes I get on it. I'm hating every minute of it. And
yeah.
that's okay though, right? Like I know it's okay. I don't have, and you're right, like trying to be comfortable with discomfort. Um,
Small goals. Like for instance, sometimes I do not want to be at the gym,
mhm,
and this past week I'm trying to get back in
mhm,
and the yoga classes, right? But I tend and I'm like, "Listen, Chris, just stay for 20 minutes because these are
mhm.
classes that I can leave if I want without they know me, and I'm like, so and guess what? Sometimes I do leave after 20 minutes. I'm like, it's great. I got 20 minutes of stretching and things." And
Better than
sometimes
nothing.
yeah, it's better than nothing. At
Mhm.
least I was there, and then sometimes I stay for the whole thing.
And what's great about that is you're at least building the habit of attempting to exercise, like putting yourself in the
Mhm.
place of exercise, even though it's not 45 minutes every single day, you're at least building that habit, which is huge. So
Yeah.
I think we should all really listen to what Chris is saying about um, do what you can in that moment. Like
Mhm.
maybe it's just a day where you do a lot of deep breathing and you meditate instead of actually exercising, but you are at least putting time aside for your body.
For movement, for I feel
Yeah.
like getting the blood circulating and is just so good for people.
And for again, for all of our type A ladies out there, a lot of the studies show that it's moderate intensity exercise. That is what we're going for. And
Yeah.
moderate is if you say 0 sleeping, and 10 is if you go much longer, you're going to vomit. Like it's the hardest you can imagine, right? So if you think about that, moderate is right between like a 4, 5, 7, 6, 7, like around there. Um, you should be able to have brief conversations. You're sweaty, you're at least clammy, like you're working out, but you're not like if you're me, bright, I turn bright pink pretty easily. You're not bright pink, you're not like heaving. That's too much. You don't need to do that. So when I
Yeah.
kind of like remind myself, I'm not like, oh, this actually isn't that bad. Like I don't have to push myself to the place of I just hate everything. It makes me feel a lot better.
I always feel better leaving than I did coming. And I have to remind myself that. Like there's always a positive. I never left a workout, whether it's a hike or
Mhm.
something more intense, thinking, oh, I wish I didn't do that. You know?
Yeah, but right, but then trying to get there, you're like, "Oh, I wish I didn't agree to this."
Yeah,
Once you go,
totally.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I agree with you. And then regarding, so I think we've talked about what type of exercise we would say, whichever one you don't hate, start there. Uh,
Yeah.
and then as far as how often, I would say if you're doing 0, start with once a week and see if you can maintain once a week. And then if you can, it's a lot easier to add that second day. Try to get a little variety in there if you can.
I start with Mondays. I've always like I have to work out on a Monday
I
just
love that.
because Monday's a little overwhelming and to start your week off, there's those Monday blues that it combats. So,
I like that a lot. I almost never exercise on Monday because of
wow.
everything you just said. However, if I did, I think I would feel an exceptional sense of accomplishment for exercising on a Monday. So
Interesting.
I like that a lot.
Different strokes.
Yeah. Um, One thing I want to clear up is so if there's anyone thinking, are there any exercises I should not do? And Chris, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yes.
Anything that you think, any exercise that you should not do?
Well, I mean, I having gotten a double mastectomy myself, that definitely limits you depending on how far out you are from that surgery. For me, I had a toddler. No, actually, she was one. My daughter was one. I couldn't pick her up for
Mhm,
a while, but so lifting anything,
mhm.
I think you should just really consult your doctor as far as the
1000%.
time frame. I'm trying to think what exercise I wouldn't do. I think it just really you have to gauge. You have to be
Yeah.
your own advocate and feel the feels. And if do not push it.
I
That,
agree. And it was a little bit of a trick question, and you answered it beautifully, like I knew you.
oh, thanks. You're trying to trick me now. I like it.
Because there really isn't any exercise that is like, nope, definitely no, do not
Yeah.
do that. I've heard some people say, doctors have told them never lift more than 5 pounds or 6 pounds or 8 pounds or whatever if you've had a mastectomy. And that is false news. Now, when you
Interesting.
just had surgery, and what I mean by just, you still have follow-up appointments with your doctor. Um, then the doctor may say, you know, while you're healing, yes, there is a limit. So if you are still seeing your surgeon regularly for follow-ups because of a surgery, follow those above whatever Chris and I or anyone else is saying. Follow what your surgeon is saying. But once you get past that, there really isn't a limit or anything that you shouldn't do. There are certain things I don't necessarily recommend, like push-ups if you've had a mastectomy, because a push-up uses so much of your chest.
Pectorials, yeah.
Correct. And if you tend to feel tight in your chest anyways from surgery, I would question, why are you doing that to yourself? Like, why keep strengthening? The other thing too is functionally, we all live more rounded, right? Like we're on our phones, we're on our keyboards, we're driving. So when we're rounded, that
You
makes
make
us
me want to sit up straight. Okay, go.
whenever I say posture, everyone does this. But yeah, when we think about it, because we're rounded, these muscles, aside from surgery, are already tighter and stronger than the opposite ones and the ones on our back.
Oh,
So
that's so interesting because they're engaged all the time.
correct. We're kind of shaping ourselves in a way that it makes it real easy for them to just work more than they need to.
Can you see my posture, Jenny? How straight I'm sitting now?
Right now.
Thank you. Sorry. You know me,
Listening,
I like
Chris
to.
looks phenomenal. She's sitting up nice. She just got 2 inches taller. Um,
Everybody that's listening is sitting up straighter right now too because of what you're saying.
Um,
Okay, go ahead.
Side
Sorry.
note, merely sitting up straighter or standing, trying to stand your tallest, I think is a great exercise because you're actually using a whole bunch of little muscles. So, anyways, but back to why do push-ups? So because we are already stronger, you might already feel tighter there because of your surgeries. Instead, I would work on those back muscles. Anything that's a row where you're
Mm,
squeezing your blades together, whether that's lying on your tummy and lifting a weight or doing this kind of move. And so what I'm saying is like for those listeners, grabbing something and then squeezing your shoulder blades in so they're like pinching one another towards your spine. Any of those movements I would spend more time on than a push-up because functionally we need it for our posture
yeah.
and you might not feel
I,
great.
I like working my shoulders too because I feel like when a woman has nice shoulders, like it just like, it helps the posture look all nice and then also
And back
triceps,
muscles. Yeah.
triceps,
Hmm.
right?
Gosh. I don't know what it is with triceps, but I could do like 30 bicep curls, fine. 30 triceps. Oh my God. Like they get
Everyone though, it's
so
tough.
true.
But I
Yeah.
feel like women, talking, well, I guess we'll get into menopause on our
Mhm.
second
Mhm.
part of this, but like, you have to keep those muscles because if not, atrophy
Oh my
sets
gosh.
in, and that's not fun.
No, it's not fun. And speaking of that, the other thing I would caution anyone from doing, so aside from push-ups, is because of atrophy and all the reasons Chris was just saying, I would not go from 0 to 60. Like, don't
Mhm.
try to lift the piano or don't agree to move the couch all by yourself. Like build up to things and you should be able to get back to whatever you're doing. So
Yeah,
nothing,
because you don't want to
limit.
tear anything
Yeah,
with
exactly.
any of the surgery stuff. And, I would just really rely on your doctor's timeline and
Mhm.
your gut instinct when it comes to pushing yourself and how far you can go. We all know. We just have to
Yeah.
trust that inner.
And more often than not, the doctor says, no, no limits. And you feel like, that can't be right. I don't feel like I can do what I used to do. And that's okay. Just listen to your body and build back up and you'll get there. And this takes time.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. I love this little episode. Over to part two, I guess, right? With the
Excited. Yes.
menopause.
We'll talk all about the role of estrogen and how you can adjust your exercises for that.
All right. Tune in. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us today on My Breastie Says. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this with a breastie who needs it. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please don't forget to support our sponsors. We donate a portion of proceeds to charities supporting cancer patients in need. And we welcome questions and/or topic suggestions. So please submit at mybreastiesays.com.
The conversations on My Breastie Says are based on personal experiences and professional insight, but they are not intended to replace your medical advice. Always consult your doctor or licensed healthcare provider for medical guidance specific to your situation. We're here to support, not prescribe.
See you next time.
Bye!